So Amy, who's watching on YouTube, said, I'm honestly confused at an earlier segment when you said that you were merely looking for 100,000 votes. Why not shout from the rooftop that you were in it to win it? There's something very peculiar to me about these reasoned and very necessary critiques of the dim mindset in light of your declaration that your race isn't being won with the intent to win against the Dems. This is a great question, Amy. And so I want to take it on a couple of levels. The first one is I want to be very realistic about how difficult it is to make change against the two-party system. The media, the money, and the political system is very, very entrenched. And so when we say we're going to get 4% and we're aiming to get 100,000 votes, we are not trying to soft pedal how difficult that is. We are not trying to make it easy for ourselves. We are, in fact, going to shout these critiques from the rooftops from every corner of the state possible. But our look at the data and our look at the history says that what we think is a performance that begins to create a step change in the way that parties like ours can operate and can define winning is to get to that 100,000 vote threshold. So we may get to a place where it feels like we are doing even better, where it feels like we might be in this to win it. But if we start to get in it, if we start to poll internally in Wes Moore's polls anywhere close to a place that is going to have him win it, the amount of money that's going to come in from the Governors Association, from Wes Moore, from the billionaire corporations that he's constantly supporting, and from the network of shady PACs that back him up is going to be so intense that we're going to have a hard time fighting against it, even if we qualify for that public financing money. So we are trying to do this in order to be realistic for our supporters, because if we get to election night and we are back at Maggie's farm and we are hosting a party and we have 100,000 votes, we are going to think that is a historic accomplishment that has shifted the ground in a way that allows us to fight back, fight for communities, fight for teachers. We don't want our supporters to think we're going to win and not be excited about 100,000 votes, not be excited about us hitting our goals. I think Owen and I have both been in these situations in the past where we've been on campaigns where the campaign has a historic performance, but the candidate is not being honest and realistic about how difficult it is to fight against the two-party system. And so the supporters leave after a historic performance that could redefine victory, feel like they've lost, feel like they've been lied to, and feel disappointed. So we are trying to avoid that. Might we catch fire and get 200, 300, 400,000 votes? That would be amazing. And it would be the type of thing that they write books about in American political science and political history. That could happen. But we got to get to 100,000 to get to 200. We got to get to 200 to get to 300. And we're trying to set goals and expectations that we think are reasonably possible, but actually really difficult, so that we can be honest with folks like Amy, folks like Mark, and folks watching about what they can expect November of next year.
Yeah. So you kind of framed it from the importance of realism. I'm going to take a slightly different tack, which is the importance of Pess-optimism, right? The Pess-optimistic viewpoint is that things are bad and have always been bad, but might get better, and it might get better in surprising ways. So if you look at U.S. history, it has not been kind to politicians or candidates for office who have the kind of views that Andy and I have. So historically speaking, the U.S. Electoral system was designed to keep plantation owners and slave traders and white men in power, and historically have not been about empowering folks with more revolutionary ideas to make change through the electoral process. And so I think that that could lead us to feel pessimistic, but also we have a lot of revolutionary fervor. We believe that we can change systems, and that the way to do that is by pushing on them from the fringes, pushing on them from the outside, and that sometimes there are cleavages and openings. And the last time we saw that in U.S. history was with, an emancipatory Republican Party, in the 1850s. So there are possibilities, but I think even by running the kind of campaign that we've discussed, we are in fact winning. So my goal is not to be lieutenant governor. I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I want to keep teaching. And if Andy and I did win, I would move to abolish the position of lieutenant governor. We don't need it. We don't need to pay that person $175,000 and give them a state trooper to drive them around when their job description is duties as assigned by the governor. So even if we did win, Amy, I would get rid of my position and wouldn't serve for too long as your lieutenant governor. But I think that, you're right to push us to dream big, but we also, I think, would benefit from a statewide campaign that, that under promises and over delivers rather than the opposite. Folks are really sick and tired of politicians promising the moon and then getting elected and coming up short. And so through our campaign, we want to do the work as well as we can in order to create platforms for local activists and future Green Party candidates to run and succeed more than we did. So we're trying to set a high watermark, which is no small thing.